paper cut test never seems to fail to impress or amuse. That is, of course, unless you're someone that's seen thousands of super sharp video slicing vids, or someone who realises that being able to slice a sheet of paper doesn't actually tell you anything about edge performance. So how does a paper cut test as a sharpener actually perform any significant function? Well, to me as a knife sharpener, it can tell me heaps about the quality of the edge and get a rough gauge of overall sharpness. I for one believe the paper cut test is a very useful tool. It's cheap, easy and a very cost-effective way to tell where a blade that's being sharpened needs work by exposing small chips or flat spots on the fly. I'm going to show you how I use paper to determine whether it's worth going up to the next level grit on a whetstone, as well as listening and feeling for areas of the blade that need more work. Okay, let me show you what I mean. Here we have a knife that's about as sharp as a butter knife, and yeah, it won't even cut through a sheet of paper at all. Okay, it's not a fair test, but it's a start. I'll give this a quick pass over a 400 grit stone and get an apex started and see what the result is, and I'll come back then. Okay, I'm going to give this about 50 on each side. Okay, so I've given the blade 50 strokes on a 400 grit whetstone, and we'll see how we've progressed. Okay, that's a vast improvement, but you should have been able to hear how the paper was tearing, and you should have heard when it, or you may have heard when it stopped. And now I can see that there is paper built up in a chip. There are actually 3 chips, and I can see little bits of paper. You would have also been able to hear the magazine paper sort of tearing rather than slicing. And if we do look, you can see how there's a furry edge there. And that furry edge developed because of a flat spot in the apex or where it hit a chip. And that's the beauty of the paper cut test as far as sharpening goes, because it gives you real-time feedback as to where and what your blade needs feedback on. I'm going to now take the chip out on the 400 grit stone, and we'll reassess whether it's worth going to 1000 grit. Now I'm trying to get that single or main chip out near the front off. Okay, so I have given the knife 150 strokes on each side to remove the chips, and we'll see how we've progressed now. And you can see that yet again there's quite a good improvement. The paper is still tearing and it's getting a soft edge. Now bear in mind this is a 400 grit stone, so it's not going to give you the finish you might expect of the higher grit stones. The blade, certainly feels better and sounds better. So what I'll do now is put it on to a 1000 grit stone and check the performance of that. Now we're just moving along with 1000 grit. I'm going to do at least 100 each side. So back from the stones, and let's see how the 1000 grit stone progressed this. And once again, it seems to me to be at least a little bit quieter. And if I look at the edge of the paper, it's not hitting any chips and not causing any tearing. So it's quieter, it's smoother, and that's what we're looking for with the paper cut test. In so much as that if the whole blade is at the same level, it should just progress without slowing down or speeding up, or any change in the noise. As I say, sharpening knives can be oral and tactile as well as visual, and this is a perfect demonstration. there's no chips now. We'll move to the 3000 grit stone. Okay, this is a Nanowatt 3000 grit Pro Stone. And even the stone's quieter than the 1000 grit. And the 6000 grit coming up is even quieter, of course. Going to do, I actually did 80, not 100 on the last stone, so I might do another 80 on this stone. Okay, so that's the 1000 grit stone, and I've given it a deburr and 12 strops on either side. Let's see how we go. And that, once again, is beautifully quiet. There's no tearing at all now. It's very, very nicely clean cut, and there's actually appears to be a little piece of paper stuck on the end there. So I might give that another quick blast on the 3000 and then move straight on to the 6000 after that, and then we'll reassess again. Okay, so here we have a Morihei 6000 grit, and it's a combination of synthetic and natural Japanese stones, or JNAT. I'm going to give it 50 aside, and then I'm going to strop on the stone for 10 on each side. Okay, so we've finished this on a 6000 grit Morihei, and we'll try that now. And that really is nice and smooth. It's quiet, and there's no tearing. It's a beautiful clean cut. There's not any sign of paper on the blade itself. That's my creative director making my racket in the background. What I hope to do after this is I'll put these sequences together so that you can hear them. It's easier to hear them all in one lot than to try and listen to them separately. Thanks for watching.